Hello and welcome to the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. I'm your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this is Black MINDZ News. This channel, Black MINDZ News, is to report, articulate, transmit, communicate, unveil, relate, decode, spread the news, whether by news, video, or websites, or quotes from publications. As I articulate these information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that you call the United States, we, the foundational blacks of this land, the BADOS, the Black American descendants of slaves. Some say Black African descendant of slaves. Others say ADOS, American descendant of slaves. We, the genealogy, bloodline ties to those who created and built this land. We, the children of today, we give honor to our ancestors. And you know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Today's date, August 1st, 2019. Going over there to New York. You know, New York has been in the news lately due to the simple fact that they felt like the NYPD Blue feels disrespected. Rambunctious, out of control animals out here disrespecting Dawson water upon the men in blue. Now, based on what we had seen, and we had reported that story, we didn't do the follow-up about those who got arrested. But the fact that after that, they said there had been copycats. Videos are displayed showing other people doing those things. And you know what today and how everybody is kind of like do something, lick ice cream, and they think everybody else licking ice cream, right? So, was this an opportunity for them to pounce upon to try to, nip this in the bud and make legislation, or proposing to make legislation to say that we are not going to take this. We're not going to be humiliated. And the commissioner of them, they had a little banquet, and stay tuned as I tell you what he told them at the banquet. Stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing again? This is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, coming with another Black MINDZ News production. First and foremost, I want to say, hey, what's good to the subscribers in the house that should be having to watch this tape show. I want to thank you for your participation. And new subscribers, thank you as well for subscribing to Black MINDZ News. Hope that you stay. And we try to be as daily as possible. Even when news is slow, we're going to find something out there to talk about. Passing by, this shit that happened to just pass by. Welcome to the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Somehow your GPS on your internet somehow took you and threw you over in this corner. You stumbled by accident. It is the most hidden. We just made an anniversary of 7 years. But yeah, according to the way you look at this show, you can't tell nobody knows it's even over here. I've been doing this from day one for 7 years ago. I used to get a lot more, but I've been penalized for it because what is it that you're talking about? But anyway, welcome you two over here on the show. Go down the aisle, see something you might like. If you see something that might just maybe make you feel some kind of way, remember that the motto of the show is this: the truth don't need no partner. Now let's get into this here, right? So, okay, so in New York, again, you see that things has not been going the way they like it. They don't like the way it is going down. They feel like, people are being very disrespectful. And we can understand that. You know what I'm saying? People want to be respected. But the issue is this really on the citizenry, or let's say, well, a situation of a circumstance had evolved when this all took place. And yes, again, as Black Minds News, we don't condone mischief, right? And, unlaw abiding. That's not what we advocate over here. But what we're saying is due to, again, when you look at the original story that took place when they showed the bucket hitting the back of the police head, prior to all that taking place, they made sure to let you know it was one of those hot, scorching days. And the community were out there already throwing water on each other, right? Think about it. Okay, come on, let's paint the picture the correct way and not the politically correct way to try to fit in somebody's agenda. Let's be honest here, right? So upon the situation of what took place between the police and the individual who was being pulled over, it just happens to be, from observation, that the citizenry or the residents of that area were already out there trying to cool out. And what transpired is due to the simple fact that where this take place, it just happens to be right there. Now, again, opportunity was there because, again, why do you think that the police never did respond, right? Think about that. Why do you think the police really didn't respond and try to nab somebody if they really didn't understand psychologically when they got out of their vehicle that this was already taking place prior to what was going to happen with them in the arrest and so forth? Right? Think about it. I mean, there was a lot of water. You mean to tell me they ain't turning around like, you know what I'm saying? What? Hand going by the gun. But, think about this. So just imagine yourself. You're going in your backyard. Say you got a backyard. If you don't have one, just put it in your mind's eye. You got a backyard. Right? And kids back there, you got pool, they got water hose, slip and slide, water balloons. They're out there getting it in. Now, you ain't even out there. You in the house watching the game, playing cards, some with your fellas, and you trying to go across. You got to go to the garage or something. You got a stash or something. You want to go in there and grab it and come back with the boys. Whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? Now, as you coming across there, are you mindful that you already know what's taking place over there? Right? You know the kids out here, they all throwing water and all this other stuff. So no, what you trying to do is trying to get to what you're trying to do and try to get on back. You know what's taking place. Now, as you going by, water sprinkling on you, right? You like, are you looking like, hey? Or are you like, let me get the hell out of here? And crazy ass kids is doing, right? You doing what you doing, right? Isn't that the way when you seen that video and how them cops was? I know, yeah, it was a big dousing came like, what? Right? But they weren't paying attention because, again, they were still acting as if that wasn't even taking place. And that's the way they probably looking at it. They ain't think nobody was really trying to do that. But because of the video being out here, it made, the rounds and people had their opinions on how they seen everything. And so here was an opportunity because, again, due to what done happen in history here now, police feel like they being disrespected, not for the simple fact that people just disrespecting you for no reason. As many as they want to say there's more good cops than there are bad cops, but again, we always know that bad somehow taints the good. So if you're just having time and time again of events and situations that are being, again, broadcast, not so much from the general media, but from social media, it becomes inundated with the people about particular events over and over again. And so, again, the sensationalism and viral has something to do with what catches everybody's attention, everybody's in agreement to, how wild and, hands, right, that. And so when you have an abundance of that, and the situations is over and over again of the same scenario, and it seems to be the same people, whether it be in this state or this city or that city, you become the poster of that. And because you become the poster of that, there's not good rapport and there is rapport. You know what I'm saying? There's where people will congratulate you, and then there's people who's going to, as the article talked about, mock. Right? So it kind of makes people in the positions as officers to be apprehensive. How they're doing things. You know, whether they want to shoot, whether, you know, they want to tase, depending on, you know, whether they're black, whether they're white. There's a lot of dynamics that has to go on in split minutes, minuscules of time of seconds. And so when you have to carry all that, they don't want to carry that. So we need an out, right? We need an out. Then a situation like this happened, right? You know, I had to lead you up to it, right? Wouldn't be right. So let me show you this and be right back. Check this out, right? All right. So you see an individual recently seemed to just la-di-da-di-da, walk up, had a bottle of water in his hand, seen two cops on the corner, and he just took it like, spritz them, right? Spritz on the cops, right? And this now is done reverberated around to the fact that now that the commissioner decided to say, enough's enough, goddammit, right? And so let me show you the aftermath of the event there. And then I'll kind of tell you, because they're not going to tell you there, but you have to read to get what they were said inside. So let me show you this, and we'll be right back.
Here at City Hall, specifically, it was two Republican assemblymen, one from Long Island, the other from Staten Island, and right by their side, various representatives from numerous police unions throughout the city. The legislation, yes, proposes that it would be a felony charge against anyone who throws or sprays water or any sort of liquid on a law enforcement officer. Take a look at the latest video. This was from 1 week ago, this episode of disrespect, if you will. Police released video of a man who sprayed two NYPD traffic agents with a bottle of water. This was last Wednesday at 86th Street and Jamaica Avenue. You've got the one you talked about 10 days ago, the assault really on an officer who was first doused with water and then hit in the head with a bucket. That was at 7th Avenue and 115th Street. And then you've got the other incident that occurred in the Bronx. That one very disturbing. Lawmakers are hoping that this proposed legislation sends a message that this behavior will just not be tolerated. The fear is this: it's water now, it's gasoline or acid down the road.
It's uncalled for, this behavior that actually demoralizes our communities.
I've been a cop for a long time. Disrespecting police officers is not something new. It's never acceptable, it's never been acceptable. But, you know, cops aren't victims. We're not. We're here to prevent people from becoming victims.
Now, again, this is proposed legislation. It's got a long way to go before it becomes law. It's got to get through the Assembly, then it has to clear the Senate, and then it also, of course, needs the governor's signature before it becomes law. We asked the legislators here today if they've sort of run this up the flagpole in Albany to see what kind of support it has. They told us that dialogue is just now getting underway.
All right. So, again, as I laid to you out before I even played that, is again, like I said, the incidences that took place. Now, the original one, again, what no one won't say is that, was that situation with the water happening? Or are they trying to insinuate that people went and got water to do what they did? Or was it already in progress, right? So they just kind of really... The individual who threw the bucket, right? You can see when you go back and look at the bucket part seemed to be not kind of in the play. But I mean, you do have people when you out there, you wilding like that. Some of them got to the water and then throw the bucket at you. You have always have some of them out here like that. But in this case, it seemed like it was an opportunity, and he took advantage. And because of that, whoever you may be, we won't disclose you here on Black Minds News, but whoever you may be, again, you're the one who's going to be the catalyst for this, because, again, it was the bucket. Because, see, the water kind of, again, if you've seen the show that I did with the pie, right? Remember that white folks used to throw pies in the face of, people or politicians and things like that. And that wouldn't, again, it still would be considered some kind of charge, but not to the fact that they were going to, you getting doing some real time. They ain't going to make legislation now that if you do anything that seems anything close to that they're going to hold you to the letter of T's of the law. That they saying that, well, again, it's water now. You might be thinking about acid, and now this is in the minds of them, again, trying to make some defense for the shit, right? And again, you got to protect yourself again. But let's look at it from both sides of the scenario. Now you got to, again, ask yourself, why would people be lashing out towards authority when you just saying it's the behavior, right? It's more of a reaction, right? It's the reaction as the lesser of what they can think they could do, but now you're going to cut that off. Again, we don't condone the fact that again, it's not, again, we're not making that like that's some, like you're going to do this. No, we're not saying that. What I'm saying is, this is what and again, like I said, I think it was more of a copycat thing. Again, what goes on when they say what people see, they believe, right? And so that's when you get copycats from. Again, you had a young person who licking ice cream, and then you had a grown person, much growner than that person, probably could be her daddy. He did it, but he didn't do it in the same manner, but you try to hold him to like he did the same thing. But again, it was just to nip that situation in the bud. So here's the same scenario. The bucket. Then you had the ones with the Bronx where they doused the women cop, and they was in their coffee. You know what I'm saying? Now that one there, I don't know if it had any place in it, right? I don't know if Mother just sit around with water or no cops and just, hey, go get some water. Let's get, it could be, right? But that first one, again, it was already in progress. The one that seen that walked up to the two cops and had the bottle, I don't know if that was staged or not. You know what I'm saying? What was the purpose? He just came out, he just seen cops and just decided he gonna walk up and do that? Really? Y'all should have apprehended him because he was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Something was wrong with him, and he just gonna walk up to two cops, had nothing to do with nothing, and he just doused him. So I kind of felt like that one was kind of a reenactment to go ahead to what you're trying to do anyway. But that's just me talking, right? So you see that there was a promotional ceremony at the headquarters in Manhattan. You see that Commissioner James ONeill, I think I have a picture of him. Do I got a picture of the commissioner? I don't know if I got a picture of him. I probably don't have a picture of him, do I? I think I can get one while I'm talking about it, right? So let me see if I can go ahead and pull it up in right quick, because again, this was a ceremony he held, and he said it was time that they had to go ahead and try to cut the legs off of this because it's getting out of hand. So I think I got a picture of the brother here, because I'm just doing the one that we're using for the yeah, this should be good. All right, so there you go, James ONeill, right? Again, that was at the ceremony in Manhattan at the headquarters, and so, again, he's addressing the incidents about the affairs being with the douse with the bucket and water and saying being mocked, right? And again, it's a commendable profession to be that when it's done in the proper ways, right? And I'm pretty sure there's going to be situations where sometimes protocol is not going to be followed, but the job is to be done. We get that. I get that, right? I get that. But again, then you have situations where it's obvious that the side, as you heard or will hear, as he said in this meeting, this commissioner had said, he asked them a question: how did we get here? Right? So he said, how did we get here? Well, again, you have good cops, you have bad cops, you have in between, right? Just like you have in citizenry. Those who obey the law, some who play, right down the line, and some of them who don't just give no fuck about it, right? And so, it goes on both sides. And so when those who are on the citizenry side who break the law will be held to them and meted out accordingly. What is be justified by who is rendering the decision. Sometimes it can be excessive, sometimes it can be too little, and some it can be none at all. But it's never as cut and dry as I just said about citizenry when the other side abuses of power, policing powers, right? So what happens here is that those who have brought a black eye to the police force, then does that energy and spirit just go away just because there may be more good cops? But it's done left a bad taste in the communities that these things take place, and the continuous abundance because of social media that people see on the daily. Then it's the totality of what they're seeing, and they get to be there even though they weren't there, but now they get to be there as to be, kind of like transported or time travel. When we see videos, we actually get to go to that point in time when it took place and actually get to see the reenactment that take place. And that's the wonderful things about cameras. And so since the cameras have come out, and body cameras, a lot of these situations would have just been what's in the newspaper, which can be unilateral, depending on who it is, can be biased, right, and so forth. But when you have the footage, it's not what your lying eyes and ears, it's what you see and what you understand through what you view. Even though some people even will say, even when you see that's not the totality of it. There's more to it. But again, we actually just see the situation. We can assess the situation for our own. And because, again, with the technology and so forth and social media and all that, yes, policing powers have taken a black eye, because these are kind of some of the bones in the closet that as average people and people in general, just everybody got bones in the closet. But if we're going to act as if like they don't have bones in their closet, then how can you look at citizenry and act as if like everybody and every person that's having a uniform is right? When we know, we see time and time again the story where people done 30, 40 years and come to be exonerated that they didn't do the crime at all. But all the proper protocols are not in place, or got skewed, or felt like, depending on my merit or what I'm trying to obtain, you might be the sacrificial lamb for me to obtain that. And we see this. So we can't say that, no, we can't just ignore that. So how did you get here? It's just the plethora of events that has just been inundated to society. And then there's some things that have been so atrocious to the fact that society has not forgotten. And so whether certain individuals do these things or not, they have to take it in its totality, because that is the rapport that is now has become the spirit upon that which, again, you say you protect. But sometimes some people are seeing the abuse of it, and that's what you're fighting against, right? That's what they would be fighting against. And so he goes on and says that he gets into it. He gets dramatic about it. And he takes a pause like, what he did is kind of like, have you seen, what's that movie Jamie Foxx and LL was in, and Al Pacino was the coach, and to get this fiery pep talk at halftime, they losing, right, to get them back in the game. Well, that's basically what he did here. So he got to bring back up the spirit of his comrades, because they're being, they seeing this and they're taking it again. You got stuff that's happening in Philadelphia. You got a lot of stuff. It's not easy being y'all. It's just really not easy being y'all. And so he gives and talks about, takes his pause, collects himself. Again, as I said, like a halftime speech. And he says, like a coach, he say, we didn't get here because we don't know what to do. Like a coach, right? Oh, right? We got here because we're dedicated to the people of the city. All right? Gonna fire them up, right? Fire them up, right? Nobody took this job for a paycheck. Hello? That's what he said. Nobody took this job for a paycheck. I think paycheck go hand in hand, right? I think you ain't doing this for free. I don't think you volunteered to do this, right? So the paycheck somewhere in here got to be part of it. I understand your metaphor and what you're trying to say, but we just got to say, if that was the case, then a lot of people wouldn't be trying to move up in there, because again, yeah, you want to have the stature and status, but you also like to pay because you want to live a certain kind of way. So I get the metaphor as a coach, right? I get that. And he says they took it because they want to do good. They want to make a difference. Now, see, these are the politically correct aspects of what makes the honorable position of a police officer. That's what you say. Excuse me. That's what you say. That's the honorable part about a police officer. You didn't take this job because a police officer job don't pay much. So it's not about the paycheck. You do this because, again, you was maybe a little, I want to be a police officer when I grow up. Right? I want to fight the bad guys. I want to fight the criminals. I want to make my city better. All that's commendable. But in reality, people come with their own initiatives of why they do what they do. And they may not have, even though this might be, again, let's say if this is the script one uses to lay down when he's talking, that you can sell cookies. You can be a Girl Scout and sell cookies with that. Right? But once you get in and see the things and the ins and outs and the stories that we see day in, day out, the Girl Scouts script works until you done been at this door so many times, and the cookies you done sold them, they was stale, they was old, you know what I'm saying? They was the wrong cookies. So when they come in, they all dressed in a nice uniform and sweet look good. Hey, would you like to buy some cookies? And you like, don't get your ass from this damn dough, because you be the last time I bought them cookies from your ass, woo, right? So you don't got the good rapport with them because they done war on you because they, it was late, didn't hold up, like again, like a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so you even though they sugar and spice and everything nice and but you like, nah, man, not these ones I'm dealing with. These Girl Scouts over here selling me some bum stuff, and they got all kind of excuses. Some of them don't even get my cookies. So you don't have a good rapport with them. And so we know that's the way, again, if you're going to sell it, that's the way you got to sell it, right? And he goes on and says that, that everybody of the city needs to understand that. There's going to be times when cops are disrespected. There's always a certain population out there that doesn't respect what we do, and we address it. Now, this certain population, are you talking about criminals? Are you talking about citizenries who don't like cops? or is this racial? You get what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of like some generality in there, and it can fit a whole many, it's kind of like definitions of words, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It could be as many as they written. Which way you saying? So those, again, we look at cops and we honor what cops do, but we say that most people who are not in the criminality business of criminality, they try to walk the straight and narrow, right? They try to walk the straight and narrow. But there's just sometimes, again, if there was to be something where somebody could just sit out and talk directly all the time about, their encounters with police, because there's all 350 million people in this country, and we're going to exclude the children, right? I mean, just look what the other day with the 10-year-old, that because of black media, right, talking about the case, show how it didn't make sense. They end up dropping that. I don't know. I didn't do the story, but they dropped that case, right? Because, again, black media put a microscope on it because, again, kids, 10 years old, rough and tumble, part of that. You had already suspended the boy. How did he elevate and get to legal? And then one of them teen him at 10 years old. And then if he turns out bad, nobody will go back and figure out, well, it's systemic from the fact that y'all messed him up from here. But because of what black media does, it made change in it. So, again, some people say, well, you're talking to the cops. This is news. I'm just talking about the news part about it. I'm not talking about nobody in particular. I'm just talking about the news aspect of this. And as citizenry, how some of us feel, right? And, some people will be a little afraid to say it. It's not about me trying to challenge anybody. It's just, this is what it is. Again, I ain't going to tell you what I heard. I'm going to tell you what I know, right? And so he goes on saying that the citizens need to understand that. And again, most of the citizenry understand that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have people on your side that might not just be 100. Some of them got motives and ulterior motives and all kind of other things that are built inside their head. And if we're to be truthful about it, a lot of people who end up getting exonerated probably shouldn't have got exonerated. And that takes a toll on the society, especially certain segment of people, of communities, they lose trust in that. So if you, again, I was told that to get respect is to earn respect. Some people think they just get the respect just because I am, but again, you had to earn that. And when you lose that through, the continuous malfeasance and misconducts and somehow policing deaths, and people are viewing it from their perspective of what they see and not what they told, then what happens is you end up carrying that. Is it fair? But again, they say, what is fair? That's what they tell black Americans all the time, right? There is no such thing as fair, right? So to say a certain population out there that doesn't respect what we do, I would say you have to be talking about the criminal element. Now, again, without the criminal element, there's no need for no policing. So in one aspect, I'm saying nobody don't like that. And again, we wouldn't like, because again, if I got to call the police, I want you to be there. But I'm just saying that segment there really ain't the ones out here blatantly doing what they doing, right? Now, again, the ones that you end up getting and arresting, I was reading that, and I did see that you want to say background according to what y'all came up with, then I could say that. So that wasn't just the natural citizenry, that's a certain element. But I don't think they sitting around to do that, right? I guess that when you accosting them, y'all deal with each other in the way that y'all do what y'all do. And so he said, we address that, and y'all do. Y'all handle them. And again, like I say, people don't protest when they know somebody else is wrong. They don't do that. It's only when they know it's right, they'll do it. So he says that that who are we? We're not victims. We're here to protect victims. Okay. We don't got a problem with that statement at all, because that's what we were taught to believe. Serve and protect is that you're protecting the citizenry. But again, when we see the abuse and the things that are being taken place, then people going to have issues with that. It's just natural. It's just natural. And the problem is, there's going to have to be some, again, people saying that they want to do, let's say, diversity training, more kinds of training. Again, I say that because if somebody as old as a person might be versus a couple days and weeks of training can't purge out what they have been already established. That clay mold has already been, it's been fixated. It's becoming solid. So how do you make somebody change overnight for a few bits? They might be conscious of for the time being, but that don't mean that they won't reset back to what they were. And again, like I say, some people are just who they are, and that's just what it's going to be. But then, if you're talking about protecting victims, and when people become victims, then they're expecting for you to do what according to the image, the mantra that y'all say that, people are looking for that. And when they don't see that and they lose in sight of that, then they lose faith in that. And this is how you get here, right? And it says that these who have doused are young, right? They were talking about them young. They said the ones that got doused and didn't do nothing, that was because they were young. They say they'd have been like me, a veteran. See, I would know how to deal with it. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure. But if we was to pull the cover from up under there, we'd probably see some other stuff going on too, right? And it's on all of us. All of us. You pull the cover up under you see some things that you may not like. But the point is, y'all got there, maybe not with you per se, but just individuals in the totality of it, it piles up. And when people see it time and time and time and time and time again, then it's just like, well, you can't help that. And so when y'all know you got a lot of bad apples, transferring don't really resolve the issue, just push it from one place to another, right? And if you do get somebody in there who think that they can go in there and try to clean it up, well, let me just say, y'all remember this? I talked about it before. I'm going to play this for you. I ain't listen to this, right?
Well, as I live and breathe, it's Sergeant Duncan.
Yes.
He's a white knight on a... No, he's a black knight on a white horse.
Right. You know what I got on my white horse? Evidence. Names. Dates. Photographs. And witnesses. You've been a busy boy. I've got all I need on you two jive-ass cops.
I really don't understand you. Here you are, a police officer. I mean, you should be doing your duty. At this moment, there are women being raped right now in this city. Children being molested. Stores being held up. Drunks staggering around into innocent old ladies. And you're playing Sherlock Holmes and screwing around with us because of some misunderstanding.
Let's get a cup of coffee, all right? This is ridiculous. You know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get 24 hours. 24 hours to get out of this precinct.
Yeah, you gotta be punished because of that.
See? Remember that? Anybody know what movie that is? You tell me if you remember what movie that was in, right? So here it was. You had some cops that was doing some things that came aware to the precinct. And the precinct captain decided that he was going to go ahead and investigate start getting evidence and everything to find out what is, as he said, 2 jive-ass cops. And was going to give them the ultimatum. I'm going to give you 24 hours to get out of my precinct. They said, oh, you're going to be punished for that, right? So is probably why you probably can't get rid of a lot of them, because you're going to have to deal with that element there, right? So how you can't weed out those, and so if you can't weed them out and they still out, so then I guess the citizenry the one got to be dealing with it. And so then that kind of, again, damages the rapport. Since you can't, reprimand them and do things that, again, to curb, then citizens, society looks like they try to lash out by saying, throwing water on you as a disgrace, right? As a disgrace of, again, it's disrespectful, but it's a way that they're saying that they don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's not like everybody trying to come in. They're just saying that's what they're saying. And I understand that they're saying we got to protect the second. They might throw gasoline on us and throw some acid on them. Well, you put it in the eaters now, so most likely now you done got that to put somebody in somebody's mind, because I don't think they was even think of that. But it is what it is. But so again, it's just, this was the story that was done, right? About this dousing, and now they want to bring legislation to it. I just gave you a little rendition of some aspect of the way, might be my opinion only. Nobody else may see it from that perspective, but it's just my opinion. And I'm just saying that that's how this got here. This got here because it was just just constant things that it just has been and it has not been dealt with. And so people are finding their own ways to do it without, being, nobody's shooting nobody, right? But that was the only way they could come, That was the only way they thought they could. But I don't believe that's what it was. Now, the people who did after what happened initially and the bucket and all that stuff, now that's something entirely different. But I think, it was just one of those situations. It was what it was. People did see an opportunity and they just go ahead and play along with it. But the copycat stuff, that's entirely different. So I kind of agree. I got to kind of nip it in the damn bud, because, again, a lot of people see what they believe and then they try to act upon it because, again, some of them are just Simon Says. So this is just Black Minds News, giving a little rendition of my aspect of how I looked at that. You may have something entirely different. If you do, go ahead and comment on there, like, dislike, share, and so forth. But again, like I say, we don't hate. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate, but not when it's in a way that it becomes when it put us in a situation that we didn't want to put ourselves in, and somebody forces in a position. That's the part that the citizenry have a problem with. Well, this is Black Minds News. Stay up. Peace, love, and grease. We'll see one another. Nod, say what's good, brother, what's good, sister. And to the next show, y'all. Peace.
Oh.